First of all, I just want to thank you guys for coming out. We definitely appreciate you guys being here, and whoever's on Zoom, we appreciate you guys joining us as well. Just want to start off by really acknowledging and congratulating Sophie Cunningham on just an incredible season and a fantastic run to the WNBA championship game. It sure was fun to watch her, and I know all of Mizzou Nation is so proud of her and excited for her. Certainly, I think all of us that know Sophie know that there's going to be more opportunities for her to play for a championship. So congratulations to Sophie. To say that we're excited about the season's probably an understatement. I think we've all got a chip on our shoulder. Feel like we've got something to prove. Last year, losing by 1 point per game. It was hard. It was frustrating. A lot of emotions that went into it, but I am so proud of our players in the offseason that we had. Great to finally have an offseason again, and we took full advantage of it. We hit the ground running in April, had really about 3 or 4 weeks of great workouts with our team in the month of April. And then, our hopes were that we'd come back in June and not miss a beat and pick up where we left off, and we really did exactly that. June and July were 2 great months for us. Got a lot of work done on the court, but off the court as well. To me, one of the things that we've always been known for is our culture, our chemistry on the court, and our ability to out-team other teams. And so we had some work to do with so many new faces, and it was really fun to see how much our returning players have grown up, and also the addition of our 5 new players and the energy, the passion, the work ethic. They've impacted our team both on and off the court already, and we haven't even started the season, and so that's obviously really exciting for us. Our focus this offseason, spent a lot of time talking about defense. I think last year we were, I believe, 3rd in the SEC in scoring offense and maybe 10th in scoring defense, and so that's an area that we felt like we really had to hone in on. And a lot of that comes down to our heart posture. It's about grittiness, it's about toughness, it's about covering for each other, and we weren't very good on the defensive end last year, and that hurt us, and so that was really our primary focus in this off season. And I've just seen so much growth in our kids, and certainly we haven't arrived yet. I'm very thankful that we've got a couple weeks left before we start our first game, but the growth that we've seen has been outstanding. I think about the way we're going to play this year. We'll continue to run a motion offense, which is sometimes hard as a coach because you give up so much control to your players, but I think, our players' ability to understanding spacing, understanding who we need to really work to get shots for, our ability to spread the court. I think we've got some tremendous three-point shooters, but we've also got some players that have the ability to create off the bounce. We talk a lot about transferring the advantage, passing up a good shot for a great shot. That's been really, I think, on point for our team right now. But really, again, honing in on that defensive side of the ball, that's the area that we've got to get better at. And, again, I've seen a lot of growth, but we've still got some work to do. Really spend some time working on some ball screening defense right now, and focusing on our rebounding as well. I think we'll be a little bit more up-tempo. I thought our pace last year was good. I think we could match that and maybe exceed it a little bit. And so I think, it'll continue to be a fun style on the offensive side of the ball. We just got to get better defensively, and I think our kids have. Our returning kids, again, I've seen a lot of growth. Leadership has been a big piece for us, too. I feel like ever since Sophie graduated, we've been missing that alpha, that kid that really could assert herself. And so, we've spent some time just breaking that down and helping our kids understand how to lead better for themselves and for this team. Mission first, team always. What does that look like? What does that all encompass? And how everything impacts everything. Attention to detail is a point of emphasis in the off season for us as well. Our new players were a little bit banged up yet. We've got 2 kids, Sky and Nisi, that I think have a chance to really impact our program. I just think they changed the game around the rim. Tremendous rebounders, tremendous shot blockers, both pretty explosive. Their ability to get out and run in transition has been something that's really caught my eye. And so looking forward to trying to get them healthy. I think Sky's probably on a faster track than Nisi, but that's going to take some time to just kind of get her back into game shape and get comfortable within the flow. It's a lot coming at you as a new player and as a freshman, but I think they've got both have really high ceilings. Izzy has done a tremendous job. I think that's a kid that you'll see both at the point and off guard position. Her nickname's 57. She scored 57 points in a high school game, and so she's got the ability to really score, I think, on 3 different levels. Again, I think her biggest challenge right now is so much information coming at her as a freshman and in that point guard position that it's going to take a little bit of time, but she's a kid that can play at a high level. And defensively, I've seen her make great leaps and bounds from when she came in June, just understanding pace of the game, the physicality of the game, angles, and so she's shown a lot of improvement. Kaya is a kid that I think, again, can really help us as well. Really great athlete. I think she's got the ability to be an elite defender for us. Offensively, she's a slasher right now. I think throughout the course of her career, we can develop her into a more consistent three-point shooter, but right now her strength is her ability to rebound, defend, and slash more to the basket. Sarah Lithicum is a kid that's just is about a blue-collar kid that we've had. Just does the little things. A great screener, understands who he needs to get open, is relentless to rebounds, assignment correct, and has been a great voice for a freshman to come in with the ability to really communicate well with her teammates, and just brings a ton of energy, and she's doing some great things for us as well. Our returning kids, LaDeja, we don't have her back yet. She had surgery at the end of April. And so it's been a little bit longer of a process than we had planned on or hoped for, but we're starting to get her a few more reps on the court, so it's been great to have her back out there with the girls. She's just got such a great feel, and I think obviously has a great talent on the offensive end for us and does a good job defensively, and so need to get her healthy as well. But the other returning kids, I think, have really stepped up their game. Asia Blackwell is somebody that I think her understanding of playing with greater pace has improved a lot in the offseason, have really challenged her to step up defensively. I think that's a kid that could impose her will on the defensive end for us. And, I just put it out there. I think she's got to have a goal of being on the all-defensive team this year. She's got that kind of ability. But that takes endurance and discipline, and so really challenging her on both ends of the court daily. Haley Frank, she's had a great offseason, looks stronger, a little bit more assertive, shooting the ball really, really well. Haley True has had a great offseason. Lauren, Mama came back. She wasn't with us this summer, but in June and July was with her national team, and I didn't know it was possible, but I think she got a little bit quicker. And her ball pressure has been outstanding, and so she continues to bring a great presence on the defensive end of the court for us. And, I think for that freshman class last year, it was such a hard year, and especially for a kid like her and Sarah Rose, who are international kids. And so, not only are you coming into a college program, an SEC program, and just everything coming at you so fast, but also with the quarantine. And by the way, don't go hang out with your teammates. Don't stay in the locker room. The communication piece and just that part alone, to be an incoming kid, international kid, and stay in your dorm room unless you're at practice. I mean, it was just a lot on them. And so she looks so much more confident and comfortable out there, which is exciting to see as well. So I think, like I said at the beginning, we've got a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. We feel like we've got something to prove. Our girls have put in the work this off season, and I'm really excited about what's in front of us.
You mentioned LaDeja had some sort of surgery. Can you expand on that a little bit and how long you think will be until until she actually can be back?
Yeah, we didn't think it would take nearly this long, but sometimes you just never know with those kind of surgeries. And so it wasn't a major surgery. It was more of a cleanup job inside the knee. But for some reason, it's just taking a little bit longer than we thought it would. But the good news is, even the amount of reps that she's getting right now, which is still pretty minimal, really trying to be mindful and making sure she's healthy before we put her out there too soon. The thing that I would say about LaDasia is she has got an incredible feel for the game. And I've been really impressed. She's not in game shape right now, but her ability to have limited reps, but really you don't see her timing be too far off, and has a great understanding of what we need her to do, on the offensive end. And so I've been pretty impressed that she's been off for so long, but still able to do what she's doing right now. I think moving forward in the next couple weeks, we've got to press it a little bit and keep her out there a little bit longer, and really get her comfortable within the flow of, obviously, what we're doing offensively and defensively.
You mentioned that the team feels like, it is something improved. When you look at the season, what are the goals you guys have as a team?
Well, I think every coach across the country would say they want to compete for championships, right? Isn't that always the goal? But, we want to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And I think this team has a pretty high ceiling. But we have to understand, and our girls do, we've talked a lot about this, the attention to detail that you have to have. What separates good teams from great teams? The leadership piece. On bad teams, nobody leads. On good teams, coaches lead. On great teams, players lead. And the importance of that accountability piece, that discipline piece. So important, but details matter. And, I think when I look at, some of the things that happened on the defensive end for us last year, we weren't where we needed to be. And everybody understood that, we have to up the ante. We have to be self-aware. We've got to own, ourselves, and we've got to evaluate, and we've got to get better. And I think that's the thing that was most encouraging as a coach as we went into the off season, is our ability to really have direct conversation, real conversations about, individually and collectively where we were at and what we needed to do to move the needle. 2 years ago, we were ranked number 9 in the country in women's basketball. What are the intangibles that were able to get us to that point? Yes, we had talent. We had people that could stretch the court. We had great leadership in that senior class, but we out-teamed other teams. And so to be able to really wrap your arms around each other and go to battle and cover for each other. That was a big part of it. But our goals, we want to compete for championships. SEC women's basketball is the toughest league in the country. You've got teams like South Carolina that are just loaded, right? But we've got to find a way to put ourselves in a position that we'll be in that top half of the SEC. And then you preferably want to be in the top 4, and if you do that, you're well into the NCAA tournament. You've got a great bracket, and then you've got to have a little bit of luck. You've got to have fresh legs in March, and you got to be healthy. And as we've all seen, anything can happen. We just experienced that last night watching the Chicago Sky. They went regular season 16-16, and they got the chemistry, and anything can happen. So, end of the day, we want to compete for championships, but bottom line, we want to be the best version of ourselves that we can be day in and day out. And I think winning's a byproduct of doing those things the right way. We want to be fundamentally sound. Our basketball IQ, we've got to treat our basketball season as a class. We've got to study it. We've got to know our playbook. We've got to understand our rotations. We've got to understand spacing. We've got to know the sets like the back of our hand. We've got to watch film. And really invest at a high level if you want a chance to be successful. And our kids so far have proven to do exactly what we've asked them to do in this offseason. And I'm really proud of them. Like I said, we're a long way from where we want to be in March. But the growth that I've seen since April, I've been really pleased with.
You mentioned sort of the close losses last year. And I guess, how do you sort of simulate just, improving in that area over time? Do you feel like your team is just better suited now than they were sort of last year for those scenarios?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So as hard as the last 2 years have been, and trust me, we went back and we evaluated everything, starting with me, right? Starting with me, our staff, and then our players. And what did we miss? What do we need to do differently? What does that look like? And no one's harder on themselves than I am. I guarantee you that. And so, to me, it's, again, going back to the attention to detail. I think that's a huge piece of it for us. But I am thankful for the last 2 years. And it might sound crazy, and it wasn't fun going through it, but I truly believe that going through that adversity will propel us to a place that we couldn't have gone without it. And I think there is a lot of lessons in the fires. And as long as you're willing to be vulnerable with yourself and be real and disclose some of those things. And so I think that's what we've done as a program, starting with me and then our staff and then our players. And I think because we've done that, it's allowed us to see a lot of growth. Into game situations, number one, it's great to have our team together in the offseason. We didn't have that last year, and for such a young team even last year with so many new faces, to kind of build that chemistry and have the time. Have the time. We were so limited on practice. And again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you how it was. And so it hurt a young team. I think COVID favored a team that was maybe a little bit more veteran, that had been through some of those situations. But we had a lot of new kids. And so, that hurt us quite a bit. But I think our ability to refer back to last year and why the things that we do are so important has been really, really powerful for us so far.
Coach, I know you can't ever replace Sophie and Sierra and those leaders that you have, but have you seen sort of similarities with Asia, maybe Haley, kind of stepping up now that they're upperclassmen?
I definitely have, and now the key is to be consistent with us, and I think that's the area that we continue to hone in on. Helping them understand in different situations what that looks like. And our culture is, I've always believed it's really special here. I think they come in as teammates and they leave as sisters, and we've out-teamed other teams, right? When maybe we're outmatched athleticism or size. But when you talk about, when you really love someone, you're going to hold them accountable, right? You're going to tell the truth. You're going to be willing to have hard conversations. And so for them to understand what that leadership piece really looks like, and then being consistent with your own body of work. And so we want to prepare people to be successful in life. We want to be successful on the court, and right even with that is prepare them to be successful in life. So carving out time to continue to build that culture, to build our leadership, that's been something that's been really, really important to us. And yes, I've absolutely seen great growth in that area, and we needed to.
You mentioned the ball screen defense, and what's more important in that regard? Is it icing? Is it switching?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
You mentioned the ball screen defense and improving in that regard. What's more important to emphasize there? Is it icing the ball screens? Is it kind of being correct when you switch? What goes into that?
Well, so when I referred to last year us struggling defensively, it definitely wasn't just centered around ball screens. Yeah. That's just kind of where we're at right now in building the layers of our defense. But I think defensively, being able to change up things, and again, it's been so great to have so many practices under our belt in the off season. But our ability, and I think this year we'll be able to do a few different things than we have in the past. Not only a hard hedge, a low wide hedge, icing ball screens, switching ball screens. I think you've got to be willing to make change-ups throughout the course of the game to keep people a little bit more on their heels. But that was just a piece of the puzzle that we have to put together defensively to be better.
Is there a word or a phrase that you would use to describe the team thus far?
Well, we talk a lot about mission first, team always. And to me, what that means is you sacrifice whatever it takes to accomplish our mission, and that's to compete for championships, right? So everything kind of falls under that umbrella. We've also talked a lot about choosing hard. And what does choosing hard look like? One more than other teams are willing to do. One more rep, stay a little bit longer, get a few more shots up, get a little bit more sleep, nutrition, recovery. I mean, it encompasses a lot of things, but choose hard. Choose to have a hard conversation with your teammate, right? Be willing to be real with someone and tell them the truth. Maybe not what they want to hear, but tell the truth. How to receive it, humble yourself and accept this because somebody really cares about you. choose hard. It encompasses everything we're doing defensively. Defensive is not sexy. You don't get any write-ups in the paper about it, right? Or very rarely do you. So it's really about sacrifice and discipline and grittiness and toughness. Choose hard. So those are probably the two phrases that we use a lot with our team right now.
You mentioned Sophie Cunningham. What was it like for you, that experience, to be able to be there for that third game in Chicago, and just see the jump that she was able to make this season?
Just so proud of her. I tweeted something out last night, just how proud we are of her, what she's done on the court, but she's even a better person. I mean, she's just, just so vibrant and outgoing, and takes time to, sign autographs and say thank you. And, that's just always been who Sophie is. But to see her on that big stage, and I've known her since she was in 8th grade, right? So she's grown up in front of my eyes, and she's aged me too, for sure, in a good way. For those of you that know Sophie, but in a very good way. But just to see her on that stage, and she started a couple of the games in that series, and under the bright lights, I think we've all said, those of us that know Sophie, that's when she's at her best. And I thought, she's just such a fierce competitor. She's not afraid of the moment. And, I think there's no doubt in my mind that she will be back on that stage again, just because she doesn't know any other way. Again, a fierce competitor. And again, I thought it was great for our program, great for Mizzou Nation, great for this community, and just super proud of her.
Any more questions for Coach?
Just one more question about just the SEC in general. And you mentioned the summer, and kind of been a cool summer for the SEC too. Kim Mulkey's back, and she's at LSU now, so we found out Vic Schaefer's coming back in a couple of years. But what's it like kind of preparing for more competition, more violence?
It's wild. Just when you didn't think the SEC could get any better, it's from top to bottom. It's a dogfight. And that's what I say to our kids all the time too. You asked, what some of those key phrases. We talk about where we're trying to get to. It's flat out a dogfight every single night. And they need to understand that. They need to understand what we're trying to get to and what that looks like day in and day out. But if you're a competitor, you love it. And I'm a competitor. I do not like to lose. I hate to lose. The last 2 years have been very challenging. And so if you're a competitor, you love it. People ask me, well, who do you feel like, who's the biggest rivalry in the SEC? I get that a lot. Everybody. Absolutely everybody. It doesn't matter who you're playing every night. It's a dogfight. And so I think it's great, but I love to compete, and I sure hope our players love to compete, or we recruit the wrong kids. It's the best conference in the country, hands down, no doubt. More players in the WNBA and the Olympics than any other league, and so I think it's exciting. I look forward to the challenge.